Well, thank you so much. And just so you folks know, we'll have plenty of time for questions after. So if someone joins late and they miss a little bit, I'm happy to take questions. I think that that's one of the best ways to get information across is just take questions and answer them. So I'm happy to answer any of those as they come in. So just to talk a little bit about Oakland University Esports. We'll start off with our competitive titles. So like I said, we started this fall with 3 competitive titles: Rocket League, League of Legends, and Smash Bros. Ultimate. This was decided by the administration, and I think one of the things that makes Oakland University Esports different than other programs out there in the country is that we have so much support from everybody at the university, from the president of the university all the way down to our athletic director, because esports is under athletics. We have such amazing support in the university for our esports program. And I've seen other programs where that's not quite the case, and it can really get in the way of what you're trying to do. So for me as a director, a head coach of esports here, it's very important to me that we have the right support system in place, and we certainly do here at Oakland University. So, for this first year, 2020, we have these 3 titles. We have plans to join into other titles um, because I'm interested in taking applications for students coming to Oakland University. I'll give you a little bit of information as to what we're thinking. We're thinking either Overwatch or Valorant. So either one of those titles are possible for next fall. So I'm happy to take applications for students who are in Valorant or Overwatch. If you're in another title besides those 5 that I've listed out, we're happy to take applications for it. And we have a lot of gaming clubs on campus which can support you folks competing at a high level. It's just not under the varsity umbrella, but I'd still be involved to a certain extent with those. I work with our club programs to help them get into certain tournaments, get connected with the right individuals and conferences that they need. So even though the title that you're interested in or you're very talented in might not be up here, that doesn't mean that we're not excited to have you on campus and support you more than other universities would. So these are our 3 main titles here. Our players that we've recruited for the first year are some of the best in the country. For Rocket League, they're all grand champion. For League of Legends, they're Diamond 2 and above. For Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there's not necessarily that same ranking system in place, but they are on their own characters. They're essentially the best in Michigan on their main characters. So our teams are nationally competitive, and I think that was one of the main goals for us coming into this, was to make sure that we not only recruit players and we have a legitimate team and we support them to the fullest extent, but we really want to be one of the best teams in the country. We want somebody to take down Maryville, and we're going to get there for all these titles here. So a little bit of background knowledge on me. I'm the head coach of esports at Oakland University. I was hired this year to start and run the program. I'm a former collegiate League of Legends player. So you may have heard of Robert Morris University. They were the first school to give out scholarships for gaming. That was in 2014, and I was one of the very first students to get that scholarship for gaming. So I played League of Legends for their team for 4 years until I graduated. During that time, we were top 8 in North America. Every single year, 2 of those years, we were second place. So we actually made it to the finals of the North American Collegiate League of Legends series, and lost, unfortunately, both of those times. And after I graduated, I moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is where Aquinas College is. I coached their League of Legends team for the full year, and I was also awarded the the winner of the 2019 NACE League of Legends Coach of the Year. And if you're not familiar with NACE, it's one of the biggest organizations of esports at the collegiate level. They're pretty similar to NCAA in some ways, but as far as scale, that'd be a good way to put it. So I'm incredibly proud of my time at Aquinas and at Robert Morris. And frankly, I'm excited about what we're going to do here at Oakland University. So moving on. So where we play, we compete at Game Time Arena. This is the Renegade Pro team This is their facility in Michigan. It's 10 minutes down the road. We're so lucky to have them just right there. It's the largest gaming facility in Michigan. They have top of the line equipment, so many different PCs for us to use. They also have a exclusive streaming room that we have access to, and they built up a stage for us so that when we have in-person events, we can actually have our players play on stage facing the crowd. So that was a really amazing thing for them to develop just for us as part of the partnership here. So our players play at game time. During COVID, it's a little bit different. We are very conscious of making sure that everyone is safe. So right now we have less time at the facility, but when we do have players spread out quite a bit, obviously 6 feet as a minimum, wearing masks at all times. So we do still have access to the facility, but we're taking safety protocols to make sure that nobody gets hurt while playing games, because it's certainly not required that we be in person while we play. So I think it's important to point out that we have those safety protocols in place. On top of just using the facility, another major benefit to having this partnership with the Renegades Pro Team, which I can't say enough about, but one of them is having access to the professional team. Limited access, right? You're not getting their phone number and texting them every day and getting a response. But we've had opportunities to meet with the pro team and get a little bit of advice from them. I think 2 weeks ago, we met the Valorant pro team. They were in Detroit to practice. So they actually flew all the players into Detroit to this facility so that they could practice. And we had a chance to go ahead and meet up with them. It was a really interesting experience. So I think that that's another part that is important to players going forward. So I'll talk a little bit about the nitty gritty of what makes Oakland University Esports a little bit different. There's a few different ways that esports programs run at the collegiate level. We run under the athletics banner. So we are a full-fledged varsity athletic sport from or under Oakland University. So we're actually the first Division I esports program in Michigan. And we're supported at the same level as other sports. So our basketball team, which is nationally competitive at the Division I level, plays in NCAA. They are supported the same amount that we are. So I think that that's really important, and it really separates us from other programs around the country. Some of the benefits with that kind of support and infrastructure is that we have scholarships available to players. It varies depending on the player's skill level and some other factors as well. I'll say that we don't have full scholarships. We don't have full rides available. So if that's what you're looking for, that might not be the right fit for us. We do have significant scholarships available, though. We also have dedicated coaching staff. I'm a good example of that. This is my full-time salaried position, so you won't find me doing anything else besides running and helping the program. And I think that that's a really important thing, that there's dedicated individuals helping the team. We have plans to expand that for years going forward as well. Any tournament or travel costs are completely covered. You don't have to worry about that. On top of that, apparel and jerseys are also covered or provided. I'm in the middle of actually designing Oakland Esports' jerseys right now, and we have some hoodies and other apparel items that are being ordered right now. So it's a really exciting time to be a player here, and these designs are really amazing. So on top of that, we have regular training sessions with our sports, let's say, assistants, sports psychologists, nutritionists, and athletic trainer. Before we even started the season in September, I met with all three of these professionals, which are under Oakland Athletics, to meet with them to have a strategy in place for how exactly they were going to train our esports players. Because even though we're under athletics, we're not necessarily the same as other sports teams. You know, you don't want to train the esports team the same way that you would a soccer team or a basketball team. We certainly have special needs where what we need from each of these individuals is different. So I actually had the sports psychologist, the nutritionist, and the athletic trainer come up with specialized plans for our teams. And this is something that the professional teams absolutely do as well. You won't see professional teams out there without a psychologist on hand, without a nutritionist, and without any kind of workout plan. It just doesn't happen because the professional teams realize that you need to have a well-balanced lifestyle and overall healthy lifestyle to be an effective gamer. To be one of the best in the country, you need this kind of support. And I fully believe that as well, just coming from a player background. It was certainly the players who invested in their overall health who got to that next level, who were some of the best players in the country. So I'm happy to give that same support to our student athletes here at Oakland Esports. Obviously, you'd have access to the Game Time training facility, absolutely no cost to you as well. And that will have a long number of hours once COVID is not a problem. So just to give you some insight, our hours there are limited right now because of COVID, because we can't have so many people in there. But once that is not an issue, and hopefully we get over this soon and we come back to normal life, we'll essentially have unlimited access to the facility. So that'd be a great benefit to all of our student athletes. And as well, you have additional resources. We have several athlete academic advisors, so academic advisors specifically to athletics. One of the worries going into a very large university is not having access to academic advisors and some of the support that you really need because it's such a large university. Well, these several academic advisors are specific to athletics. We only have 300 or so athletes at Oakland University. So you can imagine that these academic advisors are much more reliable and responsive and are there for you compared to other academic advisors where they're just serving so much of the student population. You have special treatment here. So that's what I had. There's certainly more that I can cover, but I don't want to talk your ears off. If you folks have any questions, I'm happy to go ahead and answer them. I'm sure we have some in the chat, so I'll just go ahead and read those off in a moment here. If you're looking to apply, our academic advisor, or I'm sorry, admissions advisor, Patrick Cassidy, is here. He's able to answer, and I'm sure he's going to present a little bit to you folks on how to apply and some of the benefits to coming to Oakland University in general. If you're looking to apply to Oakland Esports, I've got a link here which I'll actually share with you folks. I'll just give the entire presentation out so that way you have access to these. I'll go ahead and pause my share really quick here. Great. And Patrick, if you have anything you wanted to present or talk to them about, just generally about Oakland Esports, I'm happy to pass it off to you. I think now's a good time, and then I can go ahead and hit questions after that.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. Welcome, everyone. And I'm really excited to hear that you're interested in our esports teams. I work for the admissions office and just wanted to go quickly over the information in regards to getting admitted to Oakland University and some of the opportunities in regards to scholarships and costs, because that's important when you're going to college. My contact information is here. I work closely with student athletes at the university from the admissions side. I'm an athlete, or a former athlete from OU. I wasn't in esports. We didn't have that back in my day, but I ran cross country and track and field for the university. So if you had questions, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is there, and I'll be sure to include it in the chat at the end as well. As you know, Coach mentioned, the application to the university, as he had on that last slide, is free, and it is available at oakland.edu/apply. We're not a part of the Common Application or any of those other application databases or hubs. We have our own free application at oakland.edu/apply, which basically maybe take about 10-15 minutes to do and just share information about yourself. And then from there, you'll probably use either your counseling office at your high school, Parchment, Naviance, something of that type of service to send us your high school transcripts. If you're a current senior, We're accepting applications right now for the fall of 2021. If you're, maybe a junior or a sophomore or freshman in high school, we would be typically accepting applications from the July before the start term of the fall leading in. So you got lots of times to a lot of time to submit your application in, but we are admitting on a rolling basis. So we don't, receive your information, hold on to it for a couple months, and then make your decision. We're making decisions actually very quickly, and you'll find out if you're admitted to OU typically within 2 to 4 weeks. There is no SAT or ACT test score required for admission to Oakland University for the fall of 2021. We haven't really decided yet beyond that, but what we require in terms of your application is that online app, your high school transcripts. That is it. Now, if you have taken the ACT or the SAT, and we'll accept either score, doesn't have to be both. If you've taken those, we do encourage you to send them to us because it gives you an opportunity for better course placement, as well as opportunity for our higher merit-based scholarship consideration. Typically, an average incoming first-year student at OU has a 3.5 GPA and an 1100 on the SAT, which is about a 22 on the ACT. However, we typically consider admission for students with a 2.5 high school GPA or higher. And again, for the fall of 2021, we are test optional. We do have over 140 undergraduate programs to choose from, with over 130 graduate and certificate programs. They range from our College of Arts and Sciences to our professional schools of music, theater, and dance, business, engineering and computer science, health sciences, as well as nursing and the School of Education and Human Services. Now, we don't have any separate deadlines or even separate application for our automatic merit-based scholarships. The deadline that we do have is March 1st. So there's no separate application for these scholarships that are automatically awarded to every student who meets our criteria. So there's no Hunger Games competition, essay contest, not first come, first serve. You apply to Oakland University, you provide us with your transcripts. If you have a 3.0 GPA or higher, you're getting a scholarship to OU based on your GPA, as long as that information's into us by March 1st. Now, what's great about this deadline is that because it's so late in your your senior year, it does give you the opportunity to send your information in the fall, but say your GPA increases after that first semester of your senior year, or maybe you do get to take the SAT or the ACT, or maybe you retake it and your score increases. If you send us those updated scores, we will recalculate and reevaluate and re-award you a higher scholarship. We always award for the higher scholarship, never take scholarships away or award for a lower scholarship. So again, that deadline, there's no deadline for the application to the university, but for scholarship consideration, that deadline is March 1st of your senior year. Now, here's a really great graph that shows the scholarships that we award based on your GPA, as well as SAT or ACT score. So again, starting with a 3.0 GPA or higher, with no test score, a student would get $1,000 a year for 4 years automatically awarded to them. We also award higher scholarships, but they do require a test score. So beginning at a 3.4 GPA with an 1130 on the SAT or a 23 on the ACT or higher, a student can receive $2,000 per year for 4 years, up to $12,000 per year for 4 years, based on what their final grades or their grades are at time of admission, as well as SAT or ACT scores. And again, you can send updated scores all the way up until March 1st to say go from $5,500 to $9,000 or $3,500 to $5,500. In addition to these awards, every out-of-state student, which you would be considered since you're coming from, I believe it's Indiana, right? You, with a 2.5 high school GPA or higher, automatically qualify for our non-resident award, which means that your tuition goes from the out-of-state tuition rate automatically to the in-state tuition rate. So there's no out-of-state cost or a higher cost because you're an out-of-state student if you have that 2.5 GPA or higher. Now here are what our tuition rates are for this current year. Typically a first-year student who's full-time, which is at least 24 credits in their first year. Typically students are registering for around 30 to 32 credits in a year. Their cost for tuition is right around $13,500. Now we do have differential tuition based on class standing, course level, as well as your major. But typically on average, this is what your cost is per year. Students who do receive that non-resident award are required to live on campus. We have 7 residence halls and 2 student apartment complexes. For 1 full year with meals included and all other amenities, your 1-year cost is $10,639 for housing. There's no additional fees for cable or Wi-Fi or utilities. You can even get free toilet paper in the residence halls, Wi-Fi, and the meals again are incorporated into this cost. So there's no extra cost there. So typically if you're living on campus, you're enrolled full-time, you're paying right around $24,000. However, at Oakland University, we are a fee-free school. So there's no extra cost for tutoring. There's no fee to apply. You can go to all Division I athletic events for free. The tutoring center, writing center, the library that's open 24/7. All of our counseling services and resources on campus are free. So there's no additional costs. Parking on campus is free. You can have a car on campus, even as a first-year student living at the university. We want to make sure that your costs are very simplified. Tuition, housing if you choose to live on campus, and books. That is it. Carl, that is all I had in terms of the presentation. I'll hang around though to answer any questions from the students as well. Thank you for giving me a moment to share this information with our prospective students.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. And, William Bennett had a question there that probably pertains more to you than to me. What are some of the most common specialized majors that OU offers?
Yeah, that's a great question. William, our university, since we do have over 140 programs, there are a lot of things to choose from. And there are a lot of programs that are specialized and do very well. At Oakland University in the College of Arts and Sciences, our psychology, criminal justice, and social work programs are very popular. We also have our own School of Medicine, one of the 141 MD granting institutions in the country. So you want to set yourself up with a pre-med concentration with your bachelor's degree first, you can go on to med school in the future. One of our fastest growing schools at Oakland University is our School of Engineering and Computer Science. It has a new building, added over 127,000 square feet of labs, classrooms, and garages for our students to tinker, experiment, and to build new programs as well as new systems for further growth in terms of research. It really does kind of depend on what you're interested in, but our School of Health Sciences works with some of the greatest hospitals in the Metro Detroit area. Our School of Education works with some of the best school districts in the state of Michigan. And then our School of Business has direct access to Fortune 500 companies as well as startups because of the location that we're in. We're in the Metro Detroit area, about 40 miles north of Detroit. The Chrysler Dodge Fiat World Headquarters is right across the street from our campus. And there are a lot of opportunities for our students for internships, volunteer, and career opportunities to get involved with.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'll go ahead and touch on some of the other questions there. Looks like we've got to focus on our Smash team. So our Smash Ultimate team right now has 3 members. It is our smallest team. Going into the coronavirus, we kind of knew that the Smash Ultimate scene would be difficult because typically you want events in person. But we've been adapting well, and we're playing online. Our 3 members, the in-game names for those players are Spectral, Broly, and Werble Nerfer. So if you know them, they're some of the best players in Michigan here. They specialize in Lucina, Roy, and Ken. So if you're one of those characters, if that's your main, then you'll have some stiff competition if you come join our team. What we're looking for out of Smash players is we're looking for players who have a strong mental fortitude. A lot of our Smash practices have to do with 1v1ing other players on our team, and scrimming other teams. So you really have to have a, um, let's say, your ego in check and a strong student mentality, right? You're there to learn every time we practice, and that's what I'm looking for mostly out of our Smash players is strong mechanics and players who are looking to learn every single practice. Because you can't get too frustrated losing over and over to the same person. I'd rather have somebody who gets excited about being beaten, because then they know that they can learn and they can get better. So that's mostly what I look for in Smash players. One interesting part that I had not touched on in the slides is we do have some equipment that we purchased for our team members, specifically for the Smash team. I've purchased Battle Beaver, so custom controllers, which range $150 to $300 for each of our players. So I basically had them go onto the site and choose whatever they want. And for a Smash player, that each of them were very excited to be able to do that. And they'll be getting those controllers in just in time for the Big House competition, which is in December 4th. So that's an amazing thing. And for me as a former player, it's a very exciting thing to be able to provide to our students. So let me see here if there is any questions. Wasn't here to talk about the games that are available. What does your Smash team look like? So I talked a little bit about the Smash team. The games that are available are Smash Ultimate, Rocket League, and League of Legends. And we're also taking applications for Overwatch and Valorant players. Although we don't have those games right now, we're looking into having those games for next year. So we're very excited to see what kind of talent is in the area, getting ready for those next year. Okay, let me see if there's any others. So it doesn't look like I see any other questions. Now would be a great time if any of you folks have any questions about Oakland Esports generally. I know quite a bit about it. Obviously, I was hired in March and created and am running the program now. Give you a little bit of background about how our practices run. We have 2 to 3 practices a week. We essentially take up 10 to 15 hours a week for practices and 3 to 5 hours for competitions for each of our titles, each of our teams. I've set up the schedule through various conferences so that we have competitions weekly. It's very rare that any of our teams have a break where they don't compete at all throughout the week. The exception to that this year is our Smash team. It's just with COVID and everything, we're finding some online events and some events aren't there. So what does your League of Legends team look like? So we have 6 players on our League of Legends squad right now. We are looking to expand these rosters for next year significantly. So right now we have 6 for League of Legends. We'd like to get up to 11 or 12 for next year. So we'd like to have 2 full rosters. But for right now, our team is 6 members. They're all Diamond 3 and above. Our starting roster is Diamond 3 and above. Our substitute is a jungler, and he's Diamond 4. So we're all in the top 1% of players in League of Legends. With that said, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't apply if you don't meet that ranking. You know, some of our players are going to be graduating, and for me specifically, I coach League of Legends. That's my specialty, and so I've seen multiple players. I've coached multiple players from lower ranks, gold and platinum, all the way up to diamond. I had a student last year who I coached at Aquinas who was plat 4 when he came into the team, and after just a few weeks, I had told the coach that he would be the best player on the team. All the other players were diamond, and this year he just hit diamond 1, so he's pushing for master, grandmaster, and challenger now. So I'm certainly I like to think that I have an eye for talent, and there's a lot of areas where a skill set will lend itself well to a team setting, and it might not translate that well to solo queue. So just because you don't have the highest rank out there doesn't mean I'm not looking to pick you up. I'm definitely interested, and there's certain ways that I will determine your skill set and see if we can work with you to get you up there. So I'm really interested to see what kind of talent comes out of your high school specifically, and others in the Midwest here. One thing that I look for in players for League of Legends is adaptability. So if a player only plays one champion, they call them a one-trick pony. I'm not necessarily that interested. I'm looking for more players who have a good grasp on the meta, who can play multiple champions in their role and play them well. So that's one aspect that I'll be taking a close look. If you do apply, is I'll be looking at your op.gg and figure out how you play and what your general play style is, and see if you'd be a good fit for our team. Are there any other questions here? Before we conclude, Dylan, did you have any questions for me about our program or anything that maybe we didn't touch on?
I was just saying that I was thanking you for this comprehensive presentation that you had for us. I was saying I remember watching those RMU finals back in the day, and it's great to see that you've been able to team up with Renegades there and put together what looks like an extremely promising program, especially in such a short amount of time. I talked with some universities about getting their programs up and running around that March timeline. So to see the progress that you've made in such short time and your background and experience, this seems like an exciting opportunity for many of our students. So I'm glad you can make the time to talk to us.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm happy to help. And if anybody else has any questions going forward, they can always reach out to me. It doesn't have to be applying. We can just talk about collegiate esports. And one thing that I like to remind high school students who are looking to get into the college esports area is just to take a look at the university that you're interested in, and I would say focus on academics. There's a lot of collegiate esports programs out there, and there are benefits and pros and cons to each one. But one thing that you really can't replace is a fantastic education in an area that you're excited about. Uh, don't lose sight of the fact that after 4 years, you're likely to graduate and move on to a profession. And it might be a professional gamer, it might not. But whether you're working in esports, a professional gamer in esports, or working outside of esports, our main goal is to have you be successful after graduation. So I would just take a good look at what the school offers you in esports and then outside of esports too, because it's important not to lose sight of that other side. Just from my experience as a player, I had some of my peers at Robert Morris University get a little bit too caught up in just playing League of Legends and just being the best at their specific game. And then after graduation, they're a little bit lost because they didn't really focus on their degree that much. So I would just make sure that you are focusing on both at the same time. Esports can be a great way for you to really cultivate your passion and have an exciting career, but you need to have that in the back of your mind as well. So that's a little piece of advice, and I think that that's the most, let's say, non-bias piece of advice I can give you, because it really, to me, I just want each of you to find the right university for you, and that's my main advice for that. Is there any other questions before I conclude here? Again, I'll put my contact information below. I'm always available. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions. I like to be available for anyone within 24 hours, so I'll be sure to do that for you folks as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate all of your time. Like I said, I'll put my contact information below. I hope you folks have a great rest of your day. And if you're interested, you can apply to Oakland University today. That'd be a great way to start.